If you are ambitious, but somehow lazy, this message is for you. Not lazy in the way people accuse you of being careless, or unmotivated, or incapable, but lazy in a quieter, more confusing way. You think deeply. You imagine a different life. You know you are meant for more. You feel it in your body. You feel it when you watch others live below their potential and think, that will never be me. And yet, when it comes time to act, to train, to build, to repeat the small boring steps, something inside you resists. You delay, you plan, you research, you wait for the right mood, the right energy, the right moment, and time passes. If that sounds familiar, stay with me, because what you are experiencing is not a character flaw, it is not a lack of intelligence, and it is not proof that you are incapable of discipline. It is a misunderstanding of how progress actually works. Today, you are going to learn a samurai lesson that was designed specifically for people with high ambition, big inner worlds, strong imagination, and inconsistent execution. You will learn why motivation keeps failing you, why ambition can secretly weaken you, and how the Kaizen method was created to solve this exact problem. And if you stay until the end of this teaching, you will understand how to turn laziness into momentum, without forcing yourself, without relying on willpower, and without waiting to feel ready. This is not hype. This is not a productivity trick. This is a way of training your mind to move forward even when energy is low. Centuries ago in feudal Japan, there was a young samurai who believed ambition alone would carry him to greatness. He spoke often of his future victories. He imagined mastery. He studied stories of legendary warriors. In his mind, he was already becoming great. But when it came time to train, he told himself the conditions were not right. The weather was wrong. His body felt tired. He needed a better plan first. And so, he waited. Years passed. His dreams grew larger, but his skills remained small. Younger warriors, less intelligent, less imaginative, but more consistent, surpassed him. And one day, he realized something painful. His ambition had not lifted him. It had weakened him, because ambition without daily action does something dangerous to the mind. It creates the illusion of progress. When you imagine success, talk about plans, or rehearse your future identity, your brain releases a small reward, as if something has already been achieved. This is why planning feels good, but nothing has moved. The samurai understood this trap deeply. They knew that the mind loves comfort, and that ambition without structure becomes fantasy, not strength. They did not wait to feel inspired. They trained because training was who they were. And this is where Kaizen enters. On this channel, we return to Kaizen again and again. Kaizen is not exciting. It is not dramatic. It does not promise instant transformation, but it works. The samurai believed that small, almost insignificant actions, performed daily, were more powerful than grand efforts done rarely. They believed repetition was not boring, but sacred. You do not rise to the level of your ambition. You sink to the level of your habits. Kaizen was designed for the days you feel lazy, for the mornings when energy is low, for the moments when motivation is absent. It asks only one thing: do something small, then do it again. In the next section, you will learn why waiting for motivation keeps you stuck, how action creates energy, not the other way around, and how the samurai trained themselves to move forward even in resistance. Stay with this, because the version of you who wins is not more motivated, more inspired, or more energetic. They are simply more consistent. Most people believe motivation comes first. They believe that once they feel inspired, once energy rises, once the mood is right, then action will follow. This belief is the reason so many ambitious people stay stuck. Because motivation is not reliable. It is emotional. It fluctuates. The samurai understood something most modern people do not. Motivation does not create action. Action creates motivation. This is not philosophy. This is observation. When you act, even in small ways, your nervous system changes state. Movement generates momentum. Momentum generates energy. Energy creates clarity. But if you wait for clarity before acting, you will wait indefinitely. The ambitious but lazy mind is trapped here. It wants certainty before effort. It wants confidence before repetition. It wants assurance before discomfort. The samurai reversed this completely. They did not ask, "Do I feel like training today?" They asked, "What is the smallest form of training I can complete without negotiation?" This distinction matters, because laziness is not a lack of strength. It is a refusal to engage with friction. Your mind resists effort, because effort introduces uncertainty. It introduces discomfort. It introduces the possibility of failure, so the mind protects itself. It delays. It rationalizes. It disguises fear as preparation. The samurai did not argue with this resistance. They bypassed it. Instead of demanding heroic effort, they demanded consistency. Instead of chasing breakthroughs, they committed to routines. Kaizen was not designed to make you feel powerful. It was designed to make action inevitable. Imagine a warrior who promises himself he will train for hours each day. He misses one day, then another. Soon the habit collapses. Now imagine another warrior. He commits to a single sword form each morning. One movement, one repetition. It feels almost pointless, embarrassingly small, but the mind cannot resist it. There is no debate, no internal bargaining, no emotional drama. He does it. Then he does it again the next day. Something subtle begins to change. His identity shifts. He is no longer someone who plans to train. He is someone who trains. This is the hidden power of Kaizen. It does not rely on willpower. It rewires self-image. Every small action is a vote for the person you are becoming. The ambitious but lazy person keeps casting votes for a future self. I will be disciplined later. I will start when I feel ready. The samurai cast votes daily, quietly, without announcement. They understood that the mind obeys patterns, not intentions. You do not need to convince yourself to be disciplined. You need to prove it to yourself in small ways. This is why repetition matters more than intensity. Intensity impresses others. Repetition changes you. The modern world worships bursts of effort. The samurai worshipped endurance. They trained when tired. They trained when bored. They trained when uninspired. Not because they were superhuman, but because the action was small enough to be unavoidable. Kaizen turns resistance into irrelevance. Your mind cannot argue against 5 minutes, against one page, against a single movement. And once you begin, something interesting happens. You often continue. Not because you forced yourself, but because momentum has been activated. This is why laziness dissolves after starting, but feels overwhelming before. The samurai never tried to conquer laziness. They stepped around it. They knew that the real enemy was not fatigue, but hesitation. Hesitation keeps the sword in its sheath. Hesitation keeps potential dormant. The Kaizen method teaches you to move before the mind can object. No speeches, no affirmations, no emotional hype, just action. Small, repeated. Now, you will learn how to apply this samurai discipline to your modern life, how to design habits that cannot fail, and how to stop identifying as someone who is lazy altogether. Because laziness is not who you are. It is simply what happens when ambition is not grounded in daily movement. One more truth the samurai understood, and most people still resist, is that consistency feels unimpressive while it is working. Kaizen does not announce itself. It does not create instant confidence. It does not produce dramatic emotional highs. At first, it feels almost invisible. This is why so many people abandon it. They mistake quiet progress for no progress. But the samurai trusted accumulation. They knew that strength is not built in moments, but in sequences. One small action, linked to another, then another, until effort becomes automatic. This is when laziness disappears, not because you defeated it, but because it no longer has a role. The body begins to move before the mind complains. The habit runs without emotion. Action becomes neutral, and neutrality is power. When action no longer requires a feeling, it becomes reliable. The samurai did not wait to feel disciplined. They practiced until discipline was no longer a decision. This is the true promise of Kaizen, not that you will feel more motivated, but that you will need motivation less and less. And that is the moment your ambition finally gains traction. Now, before you rush forward, before your mind tries to optimize, before ambition starts speaking again, pause. Not because something dramatic is about to happen, but because nothing dramatic needs to happen. The samurai understood this moment well. It is the moment after understanding, but before movement. Most people skip this moment. They hear a lesson, feel inspired, and immediately look for something bigger to do. The samurai did the opposite. They grew quieter, because they knew that action chosen in silence lasts longer than action chosen in excitement. At this point, you may feel a strange tension. Part of you wants to begin immediately. Another part wants to wait, to think more, to plan more carefully. Neither side is wrong, but only one side moves your life forward. Kaizen does not ask you to conquer resistance. It asks you to stop negotiating with it. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need clarity. You do not need confidence. You only need a direction small enough to walk without emotion. This is why Kaizen works when everything else fails, because it does not rely on belief. It does not rely on discipline. It does not rely on willpower. It relies on inevitability. When the action is small enough, it becomes easier to do than to avoid. The samurai did not ask themselves, "Will this change my life?" They asked, "Can I repeat this tomorrow?" That single question shaped everything. Not intensity, not ambition, not talent, repetition. Repetition trains the body to move without discussion. Repetition trains the mind to stop resisting. Repetition trains identity quietly, without ceremony. This is where laziness dissolves, not through force, but through irrelevance. When action becomes automatic, laziness has nothing to push against. The samurai were not energized every day. They were not inspired every day, but they were consistent, and consistency compounds silently. Days pass, weeks pass, nothing feels dramatic. Then one day, you realize you are no longer trying to begin. You are already moving. This is the moment ambition finally becomes useful, because ambition without movement is pressure, but ambition with movement becomes direction. So now, we return to the only question that matters. Not a question about your future, not a question about your goals, not a question about who you want to become. A smaller question. What is one action, so small it feels almost insignificant, that you will take today? Not the best action, not the most impressive one, the most repeatable one. Something you could do again tomorrow, without resistance, without motivation, without drama. Name it. Then let everything else wait. The samurai trusted the path to reveal itself through movement. They did not rush ahead mentally. They walked forward physically, step by step, without force, without urgency. They became steady, and steadiness is what carries you further than inspiration ever will. Before you leave this moment, notice how quiet things feel now. That quiet is not emptiness. It is space. The samurai valued this space. They believed that when the mind stops rushing ahead, the body remembers what to do. You do not need to carry this lesson with effort. You do not need to hold it tightly. Simply let it settle. The smallest action you choose today will not feel heroic. It will not feel transformative. And that is exactly why it matters. Because the actions that change your life rarely announce themselves. They happen quietly, consistently, almost invisibly. One movement, done without resistance, creates a second. A second creates a rhythm. A rhythm becomes a path. And a path, once walked long enough, no longer feels like effort. This is the way of Kaizen. Not dramatic, not rushed, not forced, just steady. Carry that with you. And when your mind begins to ask for more, return to less. Because less, repeated, becomes everything. If this teaching brought you back to simplicity, or if it reminded you that progress does not need to be loud, consider subscribing for more teachings to help you along your path. And as always, remember to stay in tune with your own mind frequency.